people ask, I think, did Senator Pertlick, you wanted on, didn't you?
Okay, you're
I-
live.
I did. I don't know if I'd say I wanted on. I said I was willing to serve.
Okay, yeah, I think you requested it, so we gave it to you very easily. And I think the other one was the Vermont Healthcare or what's the health association there?
Here Connect.
Yeah. I think it's one of those that we appointed, but I think basically it was the same. Just I think three different committees.
Oh, it might have been Health to Reform Oversight. I don't know.
No, it's one that Kevin is chair.
Green Mountain Care Board.
Green Mountain Care Board. There you go. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one doctor and a couple of members.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to discuss, we just going to briefly discuss some of the issues we've gone over earlier this week. And I think we were just talking a little to start, just having a little discussion about the dealers and the franchise. And we, as you know, we've been discussing this for some time and trying to get a clear indication of what is expected of us to make this work. And I thought we had a good discussion yesterday. And Senator Pertlick, you had a comment that you'd like to put in here this morning?
Yeah, and I'm willing to continue to work with the dealers. I did email their lobbyist yesterday and asked for a timeline. They're going to work with an expert on franchise law.
That's what was left. Yes, you were Claire Buckley. That's right.
Yeah, so if they have language that would help the dealers deal with their manufacturers, in franchise, I think that's something we can add on to it because that's their main concern. Even though the bill doesn't affect the franchise law, it doesn't affect the relationship between a franchisee and the manufacturer. Because right now, electric vehicle manufacturers, direct-to-consumer manufacturers could open a dealership in Vermont. We have no prohibition in our law that prohibits it. So they could do it today. And also Ford or GM or Chevy could today try to get around the franchise laws, whether we pass S47 or not. It doesn't help that. It just really doesn't affect it. I think it's just kind of a side issue. I understand why they're concerned about it, but they can't really point to how S47 impacts that because it's just allowing the service center. I mean, I still feel really strongly we should do the service center, but I'm definitely open to finding a way that supports the current dealers if they're feeling that somehow they need some extra protection from their manufacturers. We could add that to the bill to give them that benefit.
Senator Kitchell.
yeah, the term that was used a lot was level the playing field. And I'm just having a hard time how you reconcile two different models, one of which is franchise versus the other manufacturer direct to consumer. So while, to me, I'm not sure when we wrote that about the repair shops, we ever envisioned, the market of today. And so some of the issues around the threat that different way of sales can have on dealerships and franchise that have to meet all these requirements on the part of the manufacturer, I can see is a problem. The other part that they're saying, and we've been talking about consumer protection, but they're also saying having that middle entity, the dealer, is in fact a form of consumer protection to help advocate their, if they've got a repair or some complaint about an automobile, the dealers actually, in many cases, provide that consumer support and protection, which you don't have when it's a direct manufacturer to consumers. So consumers in some ways are taking, when they decide to purchase from the manufacturer, I don't know whether consciously, but are going to have to negotiate against the manufacturer as opposed to having that dealer who's in their community and knows them on a more personal level. But I was really struggling with what does it mean to level the playing field? So if any of my colleagues can interpret what that is, because I think the service center in reality serves possibly as a deterrent from a consumer wanting to purchase that product. And so that's, you can look at it from that perspective as well. And that is the consumer is really the caught up in the middle because they can't get the service for their vehicles. And therefore that is a kind of a market deterrent for making that consumer choice. So I'm interested in, did anybody have a more complete sense of what leveling the playing field really means?
Yes, Senator Ingalls.
I don't know if leaving the level of the playing field is even what they're talking about. I think Senator Perchlik's right on the button with what it is. And I think it was the last 5 minutes of our discussion yesterday is what their fear is. And they have every right to fear that, is that the direct market to manufacturer to consumer is working so well that the franchises will figure out a way to get around those dealers. And I think that was the fear that Mr. Hoare had put out there, is that we're just worried about them changing our agreements because it's working so well. And here's our reason to do that. These electric cars require more knowledge, more teaching, more training, and all of that maybe that our franchises aren't equipped to do. So therefore, we're going to start a different division of that. And that fear should be real to those guys.
Mm-hmm.
It really should be. Being in there for 20 years with those franchises, and it is the dealers. It is the dealers that have kept the finger on the public and have done all the great things. And I agree with those guys because I've been there for 20 years, or I was there. And I agree with Mitchell that when the lemon law came up, we were sick of dealing with it as well. And what's right is right. And so there's lots of times, most times we were with the consumer battling the franchises or the manufacturers to just make it right. And I think that is the real fear that these dealers are having, is that this model, this S47 model, or just the direct consumer sales is going to go so well that they're going to find a way to get around those dealers and model it that way as well.
So it's more of a response to that potential risk within the marketplace as opposed to the opening a service center.
Yeah, I believe that's what it is. It's changing the structure so much on something that's going to go so well. And there's no harm or fear in this S47 as far as I'm concerned. I see the dealers' fears though, and it's not anything to do with S47 so much as S47 is going to change the way that we market vehicles in the state of Vermont, and they're worried about getting cut out of it by their own people at the end of the day. And so I agree with Senator Perchlik that maybe we ought to look at, and I mentioned it yesterday, that maybe we ought to look at protections more for these franchise dealers who toe the line, who do the upgrades, and they are the true ambassadors to the public. And so that's what I'm thinking I'm seeing.
Yes, Senator Perchlik.
Yeah, I agree with Senator Ingalls, and I in my view, S47 levels the playing field. I don't think it's, because right now you can do direct to consumer sales. So that if nothing changes, people will still be buying these vehicles, but we're forcing them to make an out-of-state sale. We're actually hurting consumer protections because we don't have an in-state sale or an in-state entity to deal with, and that's what we heard from the Attorney General. And we're just not going to stop it. I think what Senator Ingalls was saying is like, this is happening everywhere and it's a successful business model. It's totally different. When we wrote the law, we weren't deciding, oh, franchise is better. I mean, the testimony we heard yesterday was how great franchises are, which is fine, and they are great, but we didn't make a decision of which is the best for consumers.
No, it wasn't even part of the.
Yeah, Tesla, I think that when we passed that law that said that manufacturers couldn't do service centers, Tesla had sold like 100 cars. They were barely just getting started. So it definitely wasn't in our minds, that legislature's minds, that, well, we gotta make sure everybody only buys a car through a franchise. And if that was the case, why didn't we say they can't sell cars in the state? So it's all these other issues around the dealers and their manufacturers are other issues. They're not really about what this bill is at. And I'm afraid that all the work that we're doing about electric cars just gets kind of, to minimize by we're saying, oh, we want to move electric cars. AOT uses pictures of Rivians in their presentations about how they're forward thinking, but then we're saying, oh no, you can't have a service center here, which is basically going to a Senator Kitchell cell. It's a disincentive for folks to buy it. I've talked to folks that said they're interested in buying it, but without a service center, they're like, well, I'm not gonna do it. There are other people that would only buy from a dealer. They hate the Tesla model. It scares them. So I think the argument that the dealers are making is more an argument to the consumer than to the legislature.
I think we made progress yesterday, though. I think they understood a little better. I thought they made a good presentation, and I think this can come together because by having this discussion, I think it was very, very good yesterday. I think they learned a lot, and I think we all learned a lot. And I think the dealers at first were fearful that it would, close them down. But I think they're a little more open-minded because they know something is going to happen. So I think once this study comes back, I believe there's some compromises here that can be made. I think we'll succeed.
I agree. I think that we did a good job as they did a good job yesterday. I was assuring them that we're not out to cut you guys out of here.
Right,
Tell us what's going on. Tell us what your
I think
fears
they
are.
wanted to hear that. They wanted to hear
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
That was good.
I mean, my only concern is that there's more delay. I mean, we were basically at this point, somewhere at this point at the end of last year when we decided, oh, there's a lot of issues, we have to do a study. So AOT did a study, and then we waited a year, got the study. The study didn't show that there was really any problem. So we moved forward. So,
I think we're further ahead this year, though. I think we got a better understanding. I think that discussion yesterday went very well, and at least they don't feel we're cramming something down their throats. I think they'll end up agreeing. Hey, it's not a bad deal. They're gonna sell cars here one way or the other, and we all can, like you said, Senator Ingalls, they're worried more about their franchise, I think, and but that's not our problem there. That's
Right.
between them and General Motors or Ford or whoever it is. But
we have some time. Like, they're not saying let's wait a year. They're just
right.
And
I think
maybe they can come back, like Senator Ingalls, with additional modifications or protections that would help, from their perspective, give them greater protection from. It seems to be from the manufacturers that they deal with. It was an interesting discussion. Perhaps I've got a conflict of interest here.
Well, I don't know.
No,
Maybe I do too.
you
for
don't
being that
own a
long in the
dealership,
business.
you know.
Right. But the
I
real
got cars too, but that's not a conflict.
the real thing is back in 2009, and I've mentioned this several times, but the historical contents of that is that, and Mitchell J had brought it yesterday, and I had both those franchises when I was running the dealership that I was running. GM and Chrysler just all of a sudden decided that they had too many dealers and they were going to cut them out. And so then the legislature did a great job. I came down to testify. Mark Hayes from Hayes Ford come down to testify along with other dealers. And so Vermont was tough on those franchises. They really were. Say, well, you're not going to cut these guys. You can't do that. Well, what GM do? They just went to federal bankruptcy court and said, well, we'll fix this. And off they went and declared bankruptcy. Dodge decided not to cut the dealers. And so they were fine at that point in time. So the franchisees are going, the manufacturers are going to do what they want to do at the end of the day. And so, I mean, that's why we're here, to make sure that doesn't happen.
Okay, unless there's any other questions, we'll wait for that report. And I want to get this thing moving as soon as possible. So the minute we hear some information from them, can we have time to, let's discuss a couple, it's a miscellaneous bill. Are we done with the miscellaneous bill, motor vehicle?
I thought we were.
Okay, so if we're done, is Anthea's, I don't know if she's with us or not, but what's our next step? Just to vote it out, or are we prepared to do that? Or I don't think there's anything else we're going to do to that bill, are we?
The only issue was the potential of the slippage or the quote unquote TARP law.
Yeah, let's discuss that TARP law. Does anyone, okay, we heard quite a bit of testimony. What is your final, not final, but what is your comments today so we can wrap that one up? Does anyone feel that it needs legislation, or is it working the way it is? And we heard some good testimony yesterday, but you want to hear more? Tell me what you'd like to do on the TARP bill. Let's have some suggestions here. Yes, Senator Perchlik.
Well, you can go to Engel. I mean, I like it. I introduced it. I didn't hear any testimony from DMV that they said it was a problem. So I still think it's worth doing, but I'm open to hearing what others think.
Okay, Senator Ingalls.
I think there's already enough stuff in place to not have to move forward, and I apologize for that, but that's the way I feel about it. I think that there's just enough stuff there, and it's just another layer of laws that probably don't need to be written.
Okay, Senator Chittenden.
What I took from yesterday's conversation is that Bill Smith wasn't necessarily against some revisions to address the safety concerns, but he wanted to take a crack at the language so that it could have some, so there could be some mitigation to reduce that liability if certain precautions are taken. So I'm not opposed to the bill, but I don't think it needs to be in this DMV miscellaneous. I feel like we could maybe wait till we hear back from Bill or see if this issue percolates some more over time. But I'm the new guy, so I don't know if that's a good or bad answer.
No, that's a good opinion. Yes, Senator Kitchell.
Yeah, I think we left yesterday feeling that we needed more information and an opportunity to get some feedback. And if we don't put it in now, the DMV bill, I would assume the House would make some changes before we're done, and it would come back. And if we were ready at that point, we could add it as an amendment. That's just a possibility. Usually, the miscellaneous bill does see some modification by the House, so it would come back to us, and we could concur with further amendment.
Okay.
And it would give us more time to get the feedback and feel everybody had an opportunity to state their case.
As we're going to be talking about this afternoon, we got a meeting on crossover date. So
Yeah.
that's so is
So
there
the
a
more
motion?
we can move stuff
Yeah.
out
Well, that's
quickly,
what I
the
thought.
easier it helps manage the workload. So many committees take right up until the last day, and it really does create and everybody is looking at just their committee, but when you put it in the aggregate, it really can mean an awful lot of legislation hitting the floor all at the same time. Or
Okay.
in my case, hitting appropriations before it hits the floor.
Now, you've got a lot of stuff going on in yours. It all ends up at yours sooner or later.
Yeah, I know.
Does someone want to move the miscellaneous bill?
Now our clerk is
do we
Senator
have-
Chittenden.
Yes.
Although in other committees, Liz would actually, you would call the roll, Senator Chittenden, but Liz would keep the official document. Is that how we're going to do it? I just wanted to check on that.
We haven't done this yet, so I don't know what the protocol is. Liz, are you listening?
I am listening, and I am about to
Jane,
send.
what would you suggest right now, Jane? Because
I would think it's better if Liz can do it. And I think that there might be a sheet that other committees are using. Then the clerk calls the roll, but the actual filling in of the document itself for the for the record is been done by at least that's what we've been doing in did we do
Yeah.
that? I think we did that in appropriations.
Okay.
I think
Yes.
it would be good for the clerk to at least send the email as well to the secretary.
Oh, no, you have to. You have to. You have to put, after we voted out, the clerk, well, actually, the reporter, let me see, the reporter has to,
Bring it up.
Send it to
Send it to John.
yeah.
And
And
Thea
you
has
have to
it, John.
verify the vote and you have to verify the reporter. And so there's a protocol to send to the Secretary of the Senate's office. But
And
you
Thea
have
has-
to, what?
And Thea knows what we should do.
Oh, everything Senator Kitchell is saying is correct. The one additional quirk is because this is a committee bill. Normally, it would need to be signed by Senator Mazza, and then I would drop it off at drafting ops. So I believe drafting ops needs to hear from Senator Mazza as well in terms of the fact that, yes, this is a committee bill and it's ready to be introduced, since this hasn't even been introduced yet as a bill. And I think we can do that with just an email that goes to drafting ops and an email that goes to the Senate Secretary's office from Liz. And then Senator Mazza just has to do like a reply to that and say, yes, this is correct.
Oh, good. We got it all solved.
I think there'll be some
I knew
work.
that. I was hoping you'd be here. Okay.
Although you have to let them know the reporter of the bill.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're signing off because it's a committee bill, but you have to have the vote and the reporter for them. Unless Senator Mazza, you want to report it, but I thought we were letting Senator Ingalls, our boat expert, and
Right,
Senator
right,
Chittenden,
right,
our
right.
expert
Well,
on the rest.
This
I
is,
think we-
and it'll all be summarized for you, of the highlights. So it'll all be done for you as you report it. You can.
I think we need to have a lot more discussion about boats, but we'll, I'll
So with that in mind, who wants to move it?
I'll move.
Okay.
And what draft, is it a draft number, whatever, of committee bill?
Yep, it's draft 1.4, and I just emailed it to Liz, so she can
I'm just
post it if the
posting it.
committee would like.
Okay.
And then there's one change that has happened since the last time you saw it, and that was just changing one forthwith to immediately, and that's highlighted in this version. But
I
obviously,
like forthwith. Well, all right. So
we can keep the forthwith.
Yeah.
Give me your
Yeah.
own thumbprint on.
Yeah, and as I said before, I want to get rid of crashes, and I want to make them wrecks.
Yeah. Boy, I noticed that is hitting big time. All the news now, it's all they have is crashes, no more accidents.
Yeah.
That's the message. It's been accepted very well. I
Yeah.
noticed that now. I listen to it, and no more. I haven't heard accident for a while, so that's good.
So I will move favorably, version 1.4 of the miscellaneous DMV bill.
Okay.
This is my first time at this, so I don't know what the clerk is supposed to do here. Is there needs to be a second? So then we
Yeah,
record.
we got a second.
Oh, I will second.
Okay.
Clerk second.
All right. You've heard the,
No.
yes.
Now the clerk will call the roll is the next
Yes.
step.
And I announce that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
No,
You call us all one at a time.
And is there a sequence I'm supposed to go in?
Chair is
Seniority?
last. The chair is
Chair's
last.
Great. And okay, great. So I'll now call the roll, and I'd ask Senator Ingalls, how do you vote?
I vote in affirmative.
Senator Perchlik, how do you vote?
Yes.
Senator Kitchell,
Yes.
Senator Mazza,
Yes.
and I should have gone first. I
And
vote
the
yes.
reporter of the bill will be who?
I think the boat expert, but that's up to the chair, is it not?
Senator Ingalls, would you like to take it?
If that's what you'd like me to do, I'll
Sure.
do that.
And it'll be summarized for you for reporting purposes, and you just say, we're doing something good for voters, that's all. Not that quite that simple. Anyway, I'm sure Anthony will help you, or someone will get you some pointers to report.
You know, I can't believe how well drafted some committees. I have to get up and do the whole budget by myself.
Well,
I
you know
don't have
why?
any-
Because
I
everybody's
don't have
afraid
any
of you.
script notes.
Everybody's,
Huh?
they're afraid of you. They don't want to say no to you.
No.
You'll
I
pull
mean,
out their project.
no, I'm talking about sitting down and writing out, the whole, my presentation, my
You love it. You
presentation.
love it. You love it. You love it. Yeah. Nobody,
Mm.
nobody questions you. That's what it is. Yeah.
No, that's not true.
When's the
Senator
last time you had any questions about the budget? Come on. One or two, maybe.
Remember
Right.
when Tim said, I always ask a question? Remember that whole,
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So we have an affirmative of the bill, and Senator Chittenden, question.
So as long as the committee doesn't object, I believe Liz has suggested, she just sent me an email with steps to out of committee. I'm going to draft a note to Senator Bloomer, CCing you, Senator Mazza, and you, Senator Ingalls, as the reporter, just articulating what I just observed to have happened with a copy of
Yeah.
1.4 of the DMV miscellaneous bill.
So how does Senator Mazza do that? Because he doesn't do email.
I can just give you an answer, right? Anthea?
Maybe what we'll do is we'll have Secretary Bloomer call you. Does
Yeah,
that
just have
work?
him give me
for
a
you?
call, or I'll call him, whatever. Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
So Senator Chittenden, I will send you the clean version of the bill so that we can generate that email, and I'll include drafting ops on it so that they're in the loop, so that they can get it processed and actually printed and posted to the website.
And send it to me too.
Yep, of course.
All right, we're making progress here today. Look at that. We're
And
moving
then I'll get my 3 weeks of training on how to get this thing reported.
Yeah.
Senator Ingalls, there used to be sort of like a ritual for when you report out your first bill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't call
Oh,
that.
and man,
Yeah.
they used to ask questions like,
He can handle it. He can handle
I'm,
it. pretty well.
I'm gonna defer to my chair.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I'm gonna have
request
Senator
permission to
Mazza
yield
tell
to the
everything.
chair.
I'm gonna have Senator Mazza tell everything he knows about votes.
Yeah.
And that will be
That won't
about
take long.
that'll be about 15 seconds and that will end.
That won't take long. I'm gonna say I live in front of a big lake.
Yeah. Hey, I saw one once.
Yeah, I saw one once, right? I got on one once. It was a ferry boat. Okay, so we've got that far on that. We take care of that. What else do we have to discuss before our next meeting at 10 o'clock? Anything we want to discuss the TARP issue as a separate bill, or how do you want to handle that?
I thought,
Yes.
Yeah, we have some stuff coming back from some more information coming back, right? As far as to
Yes, I
tackle
thought that, yes, I thought we did.
Yeah, and I can check in with Bill. Instead of having somebody testify at this point, we can just see what he's thinking. And I can also talk to the commissioner, because the commissioner has the ability to do rules. I don't think we really need rules, but I can just see if they have any.
But how big, Senator Perchlik, I know you heard from a constituent, but how big do you think of a problem this is? I mean, I have, like I said the other day, I hadn't heard that much about it. Do you think it's a problem personally? Have you heard from others or just one?
I know, well, it's true, only that one road.
Okay.
And so I agree, it's.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe that's something we can ask DMV just to.
Watch that road or
like, how
something.
big of a deal is it? Like, how many complaints do they get or something like that?
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Anybody want to discuss anything before we take a break? Liz, did you have something for us for 25 minutes or are we?
I reached out to Karen Horn as a suggestion to talk to Vermont League and Cities and Towns, but haven't heard back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I can call her. I did not call her. I just emailed her.
Yes, Senator Perchlik.
The only other thing, just as an update, that on the Woodstock issue, so Anthea and Joe Sagali from AOT have been going back and forth on some language on what to do about that. If the permit was to go away, what kind of language was AOT comfortable with about looking at safety improvements? The town of Woodstock and their representatives heard about, our committee's, reading on, our general consensus that we wanted to look at getting rid of the permit requirement. So they have their own amendment, or if you want to call it that.
I'm sure it has a wish list of before they do anything.
is that the one Senator Clarkson
Yes, I'm sure.
is going to offer?
It's going to be, I suspect it's going to be, if you do this, this, and this, we'll do this. So well, we can look at it. We'll, Karen Horn is available. She just told us. So let's switch to her for, we got another 15.
Okay,
20
let
minutes.
me get her a Zoom and.
They probably want to bypass Senator Perchlik.
Yeah, once they get that, they'll ease up on the permitting, right? Yeah. I can see that wish list right now.
The bypass will just go right over top downtown Woodstock. Whole downtown can be underneath the highway. Maybe they'll look.
We got to fill the potholes up in Essex, Orleans County first.
Yes.
Right. Well, if they can get a couple paved roads, then.
Yeah, well, that's right.
I think it'd be cheaper not to fill the potholes. Let's just put a bridge over them.
What's Bobby Starr has been complaining about one road up there. I don't know which one he's complaining about every time. He talks.
It's not a road, it's his driveway.
Well, remember the road from Island Pond up to Norton, and it wasn't bad. Remember they were saying that when they did the beer deliveries, the bottles would get broken because it was such bad shape.
I was talking to Senator Ingalls this morning earlier about the garbage place up there in Or is it
Coventry.
Coventry.
Coventry? I'm saying, boy, there must be some good roads there. If there's hundreds of trucks a week going up there, there are going to be some pretty heavy roads there. Wow.
Yeah, I think there's 150 trucks a day. I think it's that big of amount.
Wow. It's just huge. Like I said, I've never been up there, but I hear so much about it that you get a lot of traffic up that way.
It's large enough where Coventry, then the town itself doesn't even have a municipal tax. They only have a school tax. The dumping fees pay all the municipal taxes.
Oh, really? That they do that?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there any businesses that are helped from it, like stores or mini marts?
I don't, there's got to be. I mean, when you have that much traffic that's going
Yeah,
through
I'm
there,
saying.
somewhere along the way, the people are, some people are getting help for sure.
Yeah.
Have to. They have to.
Isn't that where Mike Marcotte, he lives in Coventry, right?
He does. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I can't remember any stores that when I've been up there. I have friends that live in Irishburg.
Yeah, maybe the diner, Coventry Diner,
Mhm,
right there.
yeah.
There's another
Mhm.
little store up around the corner owned by the same family. But there's
Is that
just so many.
Dot's Diner? Dot's Diner? Was it-
No, that used to be Dots used to be up the road, but it's just a Coventry Diner. It's just
Oh.
almost world famous. It's been an institution there for quite some time.
Karen is here. So Karen, good morning. Are you with us?
Good morning. Yes, I am.
Well, thank you for coming on short notice. We had a few minutes here this morning, and I'm sure we welcome any comments or suggestions you might have that you want to look from this committee. Or we're not going to give you any money, but we can talk with you.
Oh, I was just going to ask for buckets of money.
Okay. So what's exciting happening with the League of Cities and Towns these days? Anything we should know about?
Well, we are actually going to go testify in the House Transportation Committee at the end of the week about the additional funding that is in the VTrans budget for town highway aid.
Yeah, we're going to have
And-
that discussion this morning. I think it is. Yeah. We're gonna
Oh,
go-
you are? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so we're delighted, that there are those extra funds this year, and we think it will really help to spur sort of economic recovery, among other things. We are suggesting to the House Transportation Committee that you consider raising the cap on the $175,000 grant cap, because most of the projects that are done under the Town Highway Class 2 and Town Highway aid cost considerably more than that. And other things that we're thinking about may be helpful to towns in actually spending the money within the confines of the requirements from the federal government, are that you reconsider the match this year and potentially suspend the sort of cycle of how often you can ask for a project. In a lot of towns, when you're working with the DTAs and the Technical Advisory Committee, I think that's what it is. I'm not so good on acronyms without looking at my sheet, but that you're on a 3-year cycle, or in some cases for repaving of state highways on a 7-year cycle. But so those would be things that the committee might think about that would make it easier for towns to actually get those extra dollars spent. We do think the need is there, and that it can certainly be accomplished this year. So I don't know if that's what you were looking for, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that's all right.
I can talk about
Senator
anything.
Kitchell has a question. Senator
Yeah,
Kitchell.
Karen, these requests that you're rolling out today, like the cap or the cycle
Yeah.
suspension, when the agency was developing this proposal, did you make these requests to them? I was just wondering, were they requests that you made and considered and rejected, or are they ones that really have emerged after seeing what they're proposing to do with this funding.
Well, we didn't know that there was going to be that increased increased funding in the proposal.
Mhm.
So we haven't worked with the agency on it to date. I did ask Joel Perigo, I think is how you say it.
Perigo, maybe?
Perigo, maybe. Okay, to indicate what the request level was in each of those categories. Town highway structures, town highway aid, class 2 paving, also municipal mitigation and those kinds of line items versus the amount that's been funded in the past. And for it's been, $10 to $20 million more in requests than the state's been able to fund in the past. So the need is certainly there. But no, and just to your earlier comment, I wasn't actually expecting to roll this out until Friday, so I'm talking on the fly, Senator.
No,
Well, that's
No,
all right. No. We've got a lot of discussion to have prior to our bill. We haven't even seen the bill from the House yet. So, but it's good to know.
No, the reason I ask is sometimes requests are made and then they are turned down, and as opposed to, and would these conditions then would be ones that you would like to have applied to this additional money that's coming in?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
in the short term, in order to deal with this particular pot of money, with those changes would be helpful.
I think when the
Okay.
governor proposed it, he wanted to make sure the towns had some money here. I don't think it was really calculated to a great extent, but I thought it would make sure the towns get some money out of this because the towns certainly need it. And the sheriff,
Sure, but you can put different conditions if you're talking about, a supplement, a larger, it's stimulus related money. You can, that's why I was asking if you can put different conditions you would relative to what you would do with your base funding, procedures. That's all I was wondering here.
Senator
Thanks.
Kitchell's got hundreds of millions of dollars to get rid of. She has to get rid of it all. So
I know, I only had 1.25 billion last year.
yeah, she's got
yeah.
all kinds of money. So if we don't have it, transportation, we can get it out of her pocket. She's got millions to spend. She's looking for people to request money. I understand.
No, but I understand what is before us, and that is whether we could have some suspension of limitations that would go with our normal funding proposals so that we can get the full benefit of the federal dollars and not simply carry over those limitations that exist with, what would have been the base funding.
I don't think there's a town anywhere in Vermont that couldn't need more paving money or no capital improvement money
Yeah.
as far as infrastructure money or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I didn't introduce myself really. I'm Karen Hornan. We're I work for the Vermont League of Cities and Towns, which is the association of all the cities and towns in the state. So that's what, and we actually did ask in our last legislative report on Friday, we asked our members to tell us if they had particular projects that they could actually spend the funds on this year, or if they had recommendations for how it would make it more feasible for towns to actually spend those extra dollars. So the raising the cap proposal came from our membership directly over the
Okay.
weekend.
All right.
Okay, well, good. We'll have further discussion with you, Karen. But just a quick, we had a few minutes just to give you a little time, but we'll have you back when we get more information about what's available and what isn't. So with that,
Okay, well,
thank you.
thank you.
Thanks
Good
for
to
coming.
see you
Okay,
all.
good to see you. Thank
You as
very
well.
much. Okay, committee, well, let's take a few minute break and we'll get on to the blue light special. Okay, we'll see you at 10 o'clock.